There you go.
Man, that's funny you say that. So we'll start the thing proper. Okay, Corey, I'm going to start this off by saying if the song Samantha's Gone is not a hit, because it's a hit, it's great. It is so fun. There's just no damn justice in the world. My God, dude, the last time we talked was a couple months back in the middle of this whole thing. You said, oh, we got a song on the album called Samantha's Gone. You're not going to believe it. And like now that I've heard it, I'm like, holy smokes, man. It is so much fun, dude. The video.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's a party tune, dude. You know, it's an old school party rock tune, you know, that people just don't write anymore. And if they do, it gets lumped into a different category, you know, like it's like, oh, that can't be rock. That's alternative or any, you know, any number of genres that feel like rock is a dirty word. That's like, screw you, dude. It's a party rock tune, you know, like it's a throwback tune. So I knew that people were going to respond to it. And it was just a matter of time of just getting it out there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I totally agree with you. It's like because rock has been so like, I'm sad about everything for so long. It's almost like when someone just wants to cruise by and be like, you know what?
Right.
Like they just don't allow it. So when you just tore through this thing, and there was a part of it, and I'm like, as a guy who never quite warmed up to Bob Seger, I'm like, if Bob Seger had sounded like this, I would have got it, man, because it's so great how fun it is.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And we wanted that to reflect in the video. We wanted that to reflect in when we play it live, dude. I mean, we're all smiling, you know, and it's such a tongue-in-cheek subject as well, because that song is all about being the older sober dude.
Oh, right.
You know, yeah, you left all your hell in the rear view. Now what? You know, like you know, when your life has been kind of simmered down, like you've boiled out all the chaos. Now what? You know, so it's a very funny thing because a lot of sober dudes don't know how to live. They just kind of have this look around them. This is like, this is how normal people function. Is this where my hand goes? You know, and then there's people like me where we're just like, I'm bored. What are we doing? You know, like it's just, it's supposed to have that feeling of where do you go when you've already been everywhere? You know,
right.
Yeah, and it's just about, you know, it's that sad cliche of the, you know, the rock star who's burned through all his cash, he's burned through all his vices, and he sits, you know, he finds himself sitting on a kitchen counter in his sweatpants and his coffee, going, well, it was a good run. You know, yeah, I mean, if you don't come out of this with some scar tissue and a smile, then you didn't do it right.
Yeah, dude, totally. I love the video, and anytime there's a chance for me to see Steel Panther in anything, I'm just like totally stoked. Right. Those guys are so fun. Like a million years ago, Steel Panther played one of our shows, and we had a bit where they parachuted in. We had dudes dressed as Steel Panther parachute into the back of the stage, and then they came out. They just tore it up. Like, how well do you know those guys? They just hire them for the thing? Yeah. Do you have any?
I go all the way back with those guys. Like I go back to 2002 with those guys, man. When I first met them, and I'll call them by their stage names.
Oh yeah, totally.
I first met Star and Satch when they were doing the Atomic Punks, which a lot of people don't even know about. They had this amazing Van Halen tribute band that was called the Atomic Punks. And dude, they sounded exactly like late 70s Van Halen. They were incredible, dude. They were one of the best bands I'd ever seen. And I'd done a gig with them actually in Des Moines, Iowa. They were playing a festival that it was one of the first shows that the newly formed Stone Sour had just done together. And then me and Jim had to immediately after that show jump on a flight to Europe to go catch up with Slipknot. It was like that weird kind of in between time that was going on.
2002, you said?
Yeah, 2001, 2002. No, it was probably 2001.
Okay.
So that's even further back, you know. Yeah. So, and we ran into them at the airport because they were flying back to LA. And we hung out and we talked and stuff. And then fast forward a couple of years, and I'm doing volume 3 in LA. So I'm ensconced in LA for about 7 months.
Mhm.
And they were doing Metal School, which before that was Metal Shop,
Mhm.
and then became Metal School, before they, finally settled on Steel Panther, which was rad,
Mhm.
and they played every Monday. They played every Monday at the Viper Room, and I was still partying my A off, so every Monday that was the place to be, man, because you never knew what they were going to play. It was all covers, and they were so funny you couldn't handle it. I mean, on any given night you were either going to see Mini Kiss or Gene Simmons in a booth. I mean,
Yeah.
it was that rad, so it got to the point where if I didn't show up, it wasn't a party, and I would get up and I would always do Nothing But a Good Time
Oh,
by Poison, which
yeah.
is just one of the best anthems ever, And we just hit it off, man. That's when I met Foxy. That's when I met Styx. And we all just became huge friends. And then when they hit me up, when they became Steel Panther and they started doing originals, they hit me up to be on the first album. And I was like, duh, absolutely. Let's do this, And we just been friends ever since, man. They're good homies.
Yeah, it's like the thing about the Van Halen cover band thing. I actually saw the Atomic Punks, and one of my really good friends, he's like deep Van Halen. He says he loves Van Halen. He loved Van Halen. He goes go see Van Halen. He says if you really wanted that experience, unless you saw Van Halen in the '70s, he says he actually said see the Atomic Punks because they sound
Yeah.
they are exactly what you wanted them to be.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just it's such a great statement just about how good they were. They
Oh,
are.
right.
Those guys are incredibly. I mean, Michael's one of my favorite singers, man. He's just
Mhm.
got such great timbre. His phrasing is great, and he's one of the funniest dudes on the planet. So it's just a perfect perfect mesh.
So people could go out and get the album CMFT, which you told me stood for Certified Marriage and Family Therapist. Law
Family
Advocate.
therapist,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, we really specialize in groups in trouble. That's what we do.
Let's talk about. I was going to ask you about it, but you kind of beat me to the punch. It was amazing to see the new iteration of Slipknot during the Super Bowl. That one was good.
The funny thing is, and I'm going to catch so much hell, you're going to get a
Yeah.
lot of hits for this. The funny thing is when he showed up, I think it was the Grammys.
Yeah.
When he showed up and he was all done in the headdress, he had the bandages and everything. I just went, well, that's Clown back in 2005, like 2004 and 5. That was his look.
Yeah,
People don't remember that. If people don't remember that, then they need to look it up because that was his look, man. And I just went, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how Clown feels about that, And I let it go because I'm just getting to the point where I just can't handle Twitter beef.
Oh, totally,
People are
dude.
morons, and I don't have the time to try to explain to people why they're wrong anymore. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna go, you know what? Tuck yourself in with your ignorance and deal with it.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
this was like, I didn't even watch it, man. Like people sent me shots of it and I just went, whoa, what the hell, dude? So of course, when that meme hit with the logo and everything, I went, yeah, we're reposting this. Like every once in a while, I'm gonna dip my toe back in and just let people know that I'm still watching,
Nice.
and everybody dug it. Everybody just thought it was so funny. It's true, man. Like I'm not gonna take that back. Just show me where I'm wrong. Shit.
Yeah, where's the lie in this? Where's the lie?
Right, exactly. I dare you to point out where I'm wrong.
So one of my buddies, he said after seeing the thing during the Super Bowl, he's like, he was a little bit jealous that the Weeknd got to mosh it up a little bit during the Super Bowl halftime show because it's been so long for all of us going to shows. Corey, I feel like this is the longest time you've been home in like forever.
Dude, this is the longest I've been off the road since before I was signed, man. So that's 22 years ago, 23, 22 years ago, something like that. No, like longer than that because we were touring with Slipknot before the first album even came out. So it was like it's been weird, it's been a weird experience. I'm sure there are people who've been doing it longer than I have that are just kind of thrown for a loop right now. They're like, So what do we do here? So, but it's at the same time, I've kind of taken advantage of the fact that I'm a dad, I get to spend time with my kids. I've been working on scripts and finishing that stuff off. Obviously, I mean, people don't realize this, but I've recorded 4 albums in 3 years, and only a couple of them have been released. Let's put it that way. Like
Okay.
it's ridiculous, but I've also written and guested on a ton of stuff. I'm working on like 3 different projects right now. So some people may have, made peace with their sweats, but I didn't. Like I'm still like in it, still going hard. So it's what you do is you fill in the blank, like you just kind of have to, if life puts a wall up, you got to find, it's like trying to get through a maze, not every time you're going to find the way through. You got to stop, retrace, and then come back another way. And that's what I've been doing. Now in the next couple of months, I'm actually looking at doing some social distanced shows, actually a tour with
Oh, wow. Okay.
CFT. Yeah. Short tour, probably about 3 weeks. Some of the places we'll be doing 2 nights in one city. It'll be completely social distanced, which means it'd be pods with space around it. And the only people allowed in the pod are the people who came with that group.
Yeah.
Temp checks at the door, and you have to have proof of a negative test within 48 hours of being actually, or you won't be let in at all. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm looking, I'm looking at ways to kind of get the cogs going, not only for myself, but for people I care about, man. My crew needs work. My wife, her dancers, they want to get back out there. So it's going to be, this is the test to see if we can start to kind of inch back towards reality with these in place, at least until the vaccine has had a chance to kind of do its thing.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is that, like, when do you think it's going to be? I was going to ask, what you just said. It's kind of like, what does the future look like for what you guys are as an artist, or what you guys will be doing? The thing you described, actually, because everything in the whole world is about Steel Panther. My
Right.
understanding is that that's what Steel Panther is going to be doing. They're supposed to play a show at the Marquee here in Tempe
Right.
in a couple of months, and they're going to do like that whole pods thing. I think it's
Yeah.
it's just so unknown. Like, how do we ever get back to doing it? And I guess it's going to have to be little baby steps like this. So, do you have any sort of tour routing at this point? You said 3 weeks. I can't imagine you don't have some venues already planned. Like, where's it going to be in the country?
Mainly, I mean, we'll be starting in Vegas where I live.
Oh, nice.
Starting in Vegas and kind of making our way. The bulk of it is in the Midwest,
Mhm.
and then kind of working our way back to Vegas.
Right.
It'll be April, May, and we're hammering the details out right now. And yeah, man, I mean, it's gonna be tentative, well, not tentative, but just, safety is our main concern. But at the same time, it's like you asked, you said, what's the future going to look like? How is this going to happen? And the only way this happens is if we learn to do it.
Right.
We have to get on with it. It's, President Biden was talking about the fact that it's a national emergency, that there's been no real
Yep.
plan in place, because there was really nobody running the boat
Mhm.
for God knows how long. And that's been a national emergency. And a lot of people feel like that about what they do for a living. Like, I'm not going to put what I do as important as education. However, what I do is responsible for a lot of people's livelihoods. And the faster I can find a way to get us all back doing that in a way that doesn't endanger people, the better. So to me, it's important for all of us to start looking and instead of just kind of using it as a crutch and waiting for it to go away. Guess what? This may never go away. So we need to learn to adapt. We need to adapt and move on and find ways to do this. And I think that once once, like I said, once the vaccines had a chance to really kind of do its thing,
Mhm.
we will really start to have those tentative steps back towards normalcy
Yep.
as best we can. This
Yep.
isn't forever.
Right.
I know a lot of doomsayers out there like, oh, this is it. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? You can't even keep people from storming into the Super Bowl. You telling me that people are going to stay behind closed doors forever?
Nah.
We can't, as a species, do that. We cannot do that. We are not built for that, and people are going to encourage each other to find ways to get together and have fun. It's just a matter of time. And the more positive we can be about it, the better it's going to be, man.
Yeah.
Especially now that we have people who are actually looking around going, okay, we're not ignoring this. We're not denying this. We're not, this isn't a political thing. This is a safety thing. Let's just get rid of that. And now this is how we're going to reopen things. We're
Yeah.
going to start. It's going to be faults and starts and whatever, but we're going to get this going, and
Yeah.
that should be encouraging people.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. Like you and I are like in the same boat with this. It's like, we got to have a cohesive federal response, and from there we'll just take little baby steps, and hopefully it'll all work out. The thing that just drives me bananas is that when even now after a whole year of this, every once in a while we just see that guy running around with no mask, telling everyone how he doesn't want to take the vaccine. It's like, dude, don't you want to go out and hang out with your buddies? Don't you want that to come back? And
Dude, you
I
have
just
to
don't get it.
understand something. People still believe that QAnon is a thing.
Oh,
People aren't smart.
ugh.
People like listen to me. Like a person
Yeah.
can be talked to.
Yeah,
People in general are fucking stupid. Yeah, you have to
absolutely.
believe that. I apologize, but and I'm not saying all people are, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
Sadly, and that's just a sad fact of life. Not everybody's reading Nietzsche. Not everybody's like discussing Russian literature. It's just not in their DNA. So you're gonna have crackpots. You're gonna have deniers. You're gonna have people. There's still people who deny that they're like, don't take the measles vaccine. Are you out of your mind? What is this, the 50s? Get out of my face.
Yeah, you know what?
I mean, it's just people will find a way to argue with you. And
Yeah.
this is not just, it's not just a one side or another. It's both sides.
Yep.
There are ridiculous people on both sides
Mhm.
who are just looking for things to fight against or looking for things to be against because they don't feel comfortable without a conflict, and I don't know if that's a product of social media or if that's just something that's kind of built inside of us that we function better when there's an enemy. We function better when there's, an antagonist. But for a lot of people, I think their search is just ridiculous. There are better things to be mad at than, I wearing a mask. It's like, dude, I go everywhere in this thing.
Yep.
The only time I take it off is when I go to bed or if
Right.
I'm in the shower. I wear this when I go on my runs, for Christ's sakes. I look like a weirdo. Like I look like somebody from the 1800s trying to escape the cops. Like my horse died and I'm just running for my life. I'm like, hey, I'm coming, but look, if this is what it takes,
Yep.
let's do it.
Yeah.
If you can't, if you have medical conditions that you can't wear this, there are alternatives. There's that mat, there's that the face shield. There are so many things that you can do. There are no excuses. This isn't about political. This is about doing what's right, for God's sakes. I've had people tell me straight up, it's like, it's a goddamn hoax. And I'm like, you want to bet your life on that? Really? You want to bet the lives of your, I mean, if we do this tour and, and if it hasn't, the numbers haven't gone down or whatever, we may be on stage in this.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is that at some point we have to make the decision. Do we stay in the cave or do we go out into the light?
Yep.
And we do it in a way that is not going against the grain. We're not trying to buck the system. We're doing it for all of us. We all need to find that way. And that's, that's kind of where we're at right now.
It's amazing people always, I know you get this, I get this a little bit because I'm just an asshole on the radio, but that the dude from Slipknot, Stone Sour, Corey motherfucking Taylor suggesting perhaps we should try an orderly response, that it's left to like, that we're here, that an orderly response is what we want, is it's just shocking that we did not have that for so long. I'm right there with you.
Well, I mean, but think about the guiding voice at the time.
Totally.
I mean, I won't give him any free press.
Roger that.
But he was so much more interested in chaos and drama than he was about anything else. Nothing against the state governments, but state governments take cues from the federal government. And when you kind of leave those state governments out on their own islands and they're like, go ahead and take care of it, it's going to become a political issue. It's going to come down to, well, they're doing this, so we're going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this. Unless you have that overall message that you were trying to put out there, unless you're trying to be a leader, that's never going to happen. When you just leave it up to the tribes to figure it out, it's not going to get done. And that's been the biggest problem. That's why we're so far behind.
Yeah.
Is because the person who was supposed to be steering the boat was downstairs asleep in the bay.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, even in the best scenario, like we would get 50 different responses on 50 different timelines to this issue. I want to talk, when you mentioned Nietzsche, I realized that I think perhaps Corey's up to answer a big question today.
Oh God.
Oh, you're in for it now, kid. You and I've had, all the sort of superficial conversations that, artists have with disc jockeys for over many, many years. And I was thinking about, like, of the various Corey Taylors I've met in the various bands you've been in, Slipknot, Stone Sour, the Junk Beer Kidnap band. In your mind, what is the through line through all of those bands? Like, because you've been in all those bands, but artistically, what's the through line for you? Because all those things can sometimes be seen and are very different. What's the through line through all of your bands? Is there one? I mean, is it sort of ephemeral?
That's a good question, man. Probably. It all has to come down to what I get out of it.
Okay.
Which is, people may not understand. For example, you take CMFT and then you put that against We Are Not Your Kind.
Right.
Two vastly different albums, vastly different. And yet they were written at the same time for the most part. Well, the newer songs from CMFT were written at the same time. The older ones obviously had been around for quite a long time. However, both very, very vital for my well-being because We Are Not Your Kind was the byproduct of an emotionally abusive relationship that I was coming out of, that I was still trying to kind of shuck off the emotional chains of, and trying to put it in perspective. Like, I needed to make that album. Like that album, it was so dark for me that it really messed with me to make that album as well. But it was a long time coming out of that mindset, like when I was down there for Hydrograd, I was freshly out of that relationship and I was really feeling the pain of that relationship, like it was one of those weird things where it's like I knew I had to get out of it.
Yeah.
And yet, because of how much I'd just been beaten down over the years, I was messed up, like mentally. Like I wasn't me for the most part, It took a lot of time to really get past the pain that I had been carrying for a long time, the scar tissue, So making We Are Not Your Kind was so pivotal to me getting through it and really kind of, just kind of waving my hands and clearing the smoke and being able to step back into being me, who I am, who I've always tried to be, and make CMFT,
Yeah.
which to me was, the touchdown at the end of the game.
Yeah.
It was tough, man. So the through line for me has always been not only what I give to the audience, but what I get as a person.
Huh.
You take Junk Beer Kidnap Band. That band was so much fun.
Oh yeah.
And it was, I wasn't really sure, that show they gave us in Phoenix was like the biggest thing that wasn't supposed to happen. Like Junk Beer Kidnap Band was not designed for shows like that.
Not
and
at
I
all.
can remember McFeely, he hit me up and he was just like, well, you want to headline it? I'm like, are you out of your mind? Most of our songs are covers, for God's sakes. I was like, I am not going to put myself above who was on that? Death Punch was on it, and Seven Dust. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not that guy, like this is not, it was just so funny. So it's like the through line for me is the enjoyment that I get from all of these different styles. Obviously, egotistically, I feel pretty good about myself. The fact that I can walk into any genre and be able to hold my own, you know. But spiritually, the enjoyment that I get not only from seeing an audience light up when I play anything I do,
right,
but also the feeling I get when I actually get to do it, because these songs are so close to me, man. And and you experience something different every time you sing one of those songs. You take a song like Solway Firth, which to me is just the great purging. It's like if your arms were on fire, it's you doing this, and it's just, I always lay into that last line.
Yeah.
I really just, I mean, it's like a linebacker when he puts that perfect hit and just, that's what I try to do with that song. But then you have a song like Samantha's Gone, where you get to that last harmony that carries it just a little longer.
Yeah.
My whole goal is to carry it too long, because I want to prove that I'm not out of breath. I want to prove that it's coming from my soul. It's not a physical thing. So I guess the through line to me, man, is just the fact that I get so much out of everything that I do. And if I didn't, I wouldn't do it. You know, I mean, that's the key.
Yeah. If you did not get what you're looking for out of it, is you really would be that dude in his sweatpants sitting on the counter going, why am I here?
Yeah. In my moose mug, just going, maybe I'll do the dishes today. Just
can we talk about Lamb of God for a second?
Of course.
How is Randy? I mean, his photography is so good on like him. He's really put the pedal down on getting, like, he was good before, but he's like really good now. So they asked us here at the station to do like top 5 albums of the year, and I had to put on Randy Blythe's Instagram as one of my top 5 albums. How is he, man? Because that new song fucks, dude. It's great.
Yeah, he's rad, dude. He's Randy. I've seen Randy come from a very dark place.
Oh yeah.
We toured with them. We toured with them when he was really at the peak of his addiction. Like he was dark. Like I would get up in the morning and I would look out the door, and Randy'd been up all night and he's just out in the parking lot with his bullwhip, like, I mean, he's on fire. Randy was a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
In the early days.
Yeah.
But as time went on and he really pulled it together, man, like he and I kind of share that, like we were so dark when we were at our worst that, that kind of camaraderie, you just can't you can't have that unless you've both been there, you know? So when he and I get together, man, it's rad because he's one of the smartest people I know. And he, you know, we can rap about anything, you know, usually. And it sucks because usually we'll be in like one of those kind of co-interview things. And then all they want to do is talk politics or metal. And it's like, but there's so much more that he and I can talk about, you know, like he's, you know, he's one of those dudes who can wax eloquently about anything, you know, and his photography really reflects that. You know, he's got such a great eye for scenes. And I remember when he started, like he really started, he would walk around when we were at various festivals and whatnot. And he started taking pictures, and he took a picture of me. It was probably one of my favorite shots. It was when we were playing the song Gently.
Okay.
And we would have the snow machine come on, right? During the show, I had a mohawk, I had a 6-inch mohawk that was going on with my All Hope Is Gone mask. This was the tour. I want to say this was Sonosphere 2012. We were, or maybe it was Mayhem, I can't remember. But it was the tour we did after Paul had already passed. So they were heavy shows to begin with, you know? And he got this shot of me standing. I'm up on my Check Me Out box, which is my little ego riser that I've got up front that I put my foot up on. I call it my Check Me Out box, you know? I'm standing on that, and the snow's coming down, and there's a blue wash across, right? I'm in my red coveralls, got my white mask on, my hair's up, and it is one of the probably top 5 photos of me that I've ever seen. It's so rad. And he took it with film. He took it with like just an eye for the possibility. I mean, he was just kind of shooting, and he showed it to me, and I got chills. I was like, oh my God, dude, it's rad. Like, but he can do that with everything, man. I mean, that's how cool his photography is. And the fact that he will wander through the cities of the places where he's touring and get shots inside the city's life, you know, that's somebody who is really in tune with the way that a city is set up, man. Like he knows where to go. He knows that it might not be very safe for him sometimes, man. But at this point, the stuff that he's been through, you know, he's just going to live, man. And he's going to show people what life is. And that's what's beautiful about his photography.
Yeah. His stuff's great. So I don't know if you I don't know how often you talk to Randy, but next time you text and say, hey, there's some dude in Phoenix goes, hey, nice pictures, dude. I like it.
I will, man. Actually, I was just texting him not too long ago. He and I will send each other really like funny political stuff all the time. He's a maniac. So,
hey, dude, let me go around the room real quick with you. I see Star Wars, David Bowie. What's that silver thing immediately to your right?
Silver thing. That?
Yeah.
That's the belt, dude.
That's a belt?
That's the belt. That's the belt.
Oh, yes. Oh, dude.
That's the belt, man. Like it's
hell yeah. That's awesome. Corey, I love the new song. The album is, I remember when we first talked about it, you're like, this thing is going to be fun. And I'm like, we'll see. And then I'm like, hell yeah, it is.
I'm on, man. Well, thank you.
I'm glad to see you're well. And hey, I think it's because, look, I know that as an artist, your body is your instrument, and that you're willing to put your ass on the line and get out there and give people what I think we need. It's a little chance for human interaction in a thing. It's like, I mean, best of luck to you, brother. Someone's got to take the first step, and I'm glad to see it's a dude like you.
I appreciate it, man. You know, fingers crossed. We'll see what happens.
Fingers crossed. All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, man. Take it easy. Give my best to everyone. Okay.
I will, man. See you.
Later, buddy.